If you're a night owl, you're probably very familiar with the idea of staying up absurdly late despite knowing that you have to wake up early the next day. As a night owl myself, I am choosing to spend this lovely 12:44 a.m. recording a YouTube video. Meanwhile, I have class at 10 a.m. I just searched this up, and apparently, some people can be born night owls, although it definitely seems more like something that's built over time. I genuinely recall in first grade going to sleep consistently around 7 p.m., which is actually insane. Like, as a young adult, that's fantasy to me, unless if I'm taking a late afternoon nap. Either that, I usually don't even shower until at least 9 p.m., and I usually don't go to sleep until at least midnight. The latest I've ever stayed up is 4:30 a.m., and that's something I'd never done until about a year ago. I'm on a group chat with some friends, and we legitimately stayed up till 4:30. Like, it's actually insane. Now, if you're an early bird watching this and are wondering to yourself, well, why don't you just go to sleep earlier? Great question. Why don't I just go to sleep at 10 p.m.? Because of my circadian rhythm, damn it. Like, my body cannot physically go to sleep at 10 p.m. I usually get pretty damn tired after 1 a.m., and it's currently almost 1 a.m. And like I mentioned earlier, I didn't start off as a night owl, but over time I eventually became one. Definitively, sometime in middle school is where I started going to sleep like later. It would be 10 p.m., 10:30. By the start of high school, it ended up being around 11 or 11:30. Then by the end of my senior year, I had stayed up till 12, 12:30, 1. And on a couple times, I've stayed up till 2:30 talking with my friend on Discord. And to further add on to the question, this is probably something early birds can relate to as well. There are times where you genuinely want to sleep, like your mind wants you to go to sleep, but your body physically cannot. It's actually so frustrating sometimes. It's even worse when you can, especially for me, if I take a nap at like 3 p.m. just for like half an hour, I'll sleep like a baby. But then it's 1 a.m. and I know I have to be asleep, and it's hard to fall asleep. Like, come on. To put it more into perspective, I'd like to share some of my high school band experience. Now, at least in my school district, if you were in band, you're required to do marching band. And at least with my old high school, my band director really likes Disney, and since we're so close to Disney World, we've had many opportunities to go. Some of my favorite band experiences have been at the end of the school year, going and spending the whole day in Magic Kingdom with the band, being in our own separate groups, getting on the rides, and then around 4 p.m. we'd be taken backstage so we could get ready for the Main Street Parade, which we'd perform in. It was pretty cool. Some of my favorite band experiences for sure. Now, what I specifically want to talk about is Disney World's Marathon Weekend, where, as the name implies, people can sign up and join whether it be a marathon or a 5K or a 10K. And we've actually performed, like, literally just standing on the side of the road and performing while the people run by. The thing is, though, it happens really early in the morning. Now, if I recall correctly, we had to be at the school for 1:30 in the morning. Yes, you heard me, 1:30. And then by 2 a.m., the bus would be here, and we'd have to get all our instruments, all our equipment, get in uniform, and then head over to Disney, which was like a half-hour bus ride. Then from there, usually around 3 or 3:30, like we'd have to wait to like get called off the bus, and then we set up everything. And depending on where we were placed on the marathon route, we'd either be waiting a hell of a long time to see any runners, or we'd see them relatively quickly. I remember one year we were placed like towards the middle of the marathon route, so we got to see people fairly early on, and then once the last people in the group ran by and the road started opening up, we'd call it for the night, which usually around that time it'd be like 6:30, 7 a.m., like the sun is just rising. Now, something crucial I forgot to mention in relating this to sleep is that most people, at least from what I can recall, just pulled all-nighters. Like, no way people are gonna fall asleep at 6 p.m. and get at least 6 hours of sleep before this event. No, most people just pulled all-nighters. I at least tried getting some sleep. Like, I tried going around like 10 p.m. But like, as I mentioned earlier, it's one of those, I want to go to sleep, I consciously want to go to sleep, but my body physically can't. So I'm tossing and turning for at least an hour and a half, and then by the time I finally fall asleep, oh, it's 1 a.m. I have to get up now. At the very least, on the bus ride to Disney, I tried getting some shut-eye. And then usually on the bus ride back to school, it's pretty quiet, like almost dead silent, because almost everyone's sleeping. I'm still surprised that I've never truly pulled an all-nighter, although I don't think I should do that at any point in my life. I mean, staying up till 4:30 a.m. was already crazy enough, but then again, that was over the summer, so it's not like I had to be up at 6 a.m. To start a new subtopic, I'd like to rant a little bit about nighttime activities, whether it be playing video games, reading a book, watching a movie, binging YouTube. Like, there's so many things many night owls can do, depending on who you are and your interests. I myself, when I was on my One Piece binging spree, from like 11:30 to 1:30, I'd binge like 5 episodes. And back when I was playing Sonic Frontiers, back in like 2023, I'd make time like every Friday and Saturday night, almost every Friday and Saturday night, and spend 2 hours playing the game. The early birds are probably wondering, well, why don't you do these things earlier? 1, personal preference. 2, habit. And 3, schedule. I mean, if your day-to-day life is pretty packed, it's hard to do a lot of the things you want during that time. So you do it later in the day. Now, I've heard the take that waking up and falling asleep earlier is better than waking up and falling asleep later, because say you wake up at 5 a.m. and most people wake up at 8 a.m. If you're productive with those 3 hours, you're now ahead of most people. And that sounds pretty nice on the surface. However, if you're a night owl, changing your sleep schedule to fit that can be really difficult, because now you have to force yourself to sleep earlier in the night so you can wake up that early. As someone who had to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to high school at 7:10 a.m., as someone who normally goes to sleep around midnight, like, I'm getting less than 7 to 8 hours a night. Between school, homework, and extracurriculars, it can be difficult to actually make time for the stuff you want to do. Heck, when I played Sonic Frontiers, as I mentioned, I usually only played Friday and Saturday nights because I'd spend the rest of the week focusing on school. When I got Frontiers for Christmas, I grinded the game for the rest of winter break, and then when school started again, I shifted more to focusing on school. And from January to March, when I played the game, I looked forward to every Friday and Saturday night when I had the opportunity to play the game. However, on one weekend, I had a lot more homework than usual, so I didn't play Frontiers that weekend. To wrap up everything, to put it in short, the Night Owl experience is a unique one. Really, it all comes down to personal preference and your habits. I'm someone who just likes staying up later. I'm not a morning person. Heck, every time in high school, especially my senior year, my alarm would go off to wake me up. I'd literally get out of bed to turn it off and then try to get like 5 more minutes of sleep. Yeah, you know it's bad when you physically get out of bed to turn off your phone alarm across the room only to put your ass back in bed. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, consider liking it and subscribing to the channel to keep up with my commentary rants. And finally, let me know about your Night Owl experiences in the comments below. What's the latest you've ever stayed up? Have you ever pulled an all-nighter? Or maybe tell me about your early bird experience. I won't exclude you guys. But make sure to engage in healthy discourse with the Night Owls, okay? Anyways, this has been NJF's Rants, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.